Hi everybody, I hope everyone's doing well. This is kind of an off the cuff. It's not really a meditation or a hypnosis, it's just like an audio ramble. I've been on a different sort of journey recently, and I wanted to talk about it a little bit. This will probably turn into like a massive rant or ramble, so if you don't mind being talked at for a couple of minutes, however long this will be, then stick around, stay tuned. But no, I've been on a bit of a interesting journey where I had started making subliminals, and I'm going to make some subliminals very soon. But I've been doing a lot of self-focused work that is away from the internet, that is not a readily accessible thing. It's not something I fully deeply go into, but I've been doing affirmations every day, which has been something new. Getting in the habit of reaching 10,000 affirmations, which, if you don't know, is the standard number of repetition to create a neural pathway. So I've done that like 3 times already with different aspects of my life, for manifestation. If you don't know about that type of practice, it's all part of law of assumption, which is whatever you assume creates your reality. I'm more of a law of assumption person than I am a law of attraction person, although I see merit in both. If people want to practice that, that's fine. But I think what I've realized is I really value myself, and I think a lot of my self-worth before came from other people, but I'm realizing that I don't need to be validated by other people. It's not that I'm fully egocentric and people must validate me, but it was very much like I feel stressed if I'm not reassured by people. It's an anxiety quirk, and so I think working on that has been very powerful for me, and telling myself that I matter and that I'm a good person has been very powerful for me. This is a bit vulnerable, but I had this trauma response in my life where I would essentially believe that I was a bad person. I'll put a trigger warning for this kind of mention of stuff, but yeah, I believed I was a bad person, and I believed that a lot of stuff that happened to me in the ensuing years, following my trauma, was my fault, and it was just reinforced by how I felt about myself and how I was sort of in a brain fog and how I felt that other people treated me. And so I did become like a victim for a while. And look, I'm not saying people can't go through shitty things, but for me personally, I definitely had like a chip on my shoulder. And a lot of people don't know, away from prying eyes or whatever, that I have struggled with a chip on my shoulder. Or like, why can't manifestation be easy for me? Why blah blah blah, like why is it this way, blah blah blah. But the more that I went into myself and into telling myself, for probably the first time in a long time, like physically tell myself in my mind I am a good person, and I just said it over and over because I wanted the change, the more I believe that, if that makes sense. It's a good thing to try affirmations. If you're stuck on an area of life, even if you don't believe it, just the mindless repetition can really help, because your brain will pick up on it and start to repeat it. That's like a fact about mindless repetition and stuff. One of the things that I realized is that I had a lot of spiritual reliance. And what I mean by that is I would rely on the cards for every single thing. If I was spiraling, I would just consult the cards. I would consult YouTube readings. It got really, really bad and was like a form of OCD for me. And while I still love tarot, it was very, very difficult to get out of that place of needing to know everything and needing Spirit to tell me everything and thinking that only Spirit had a say in my life, which, you know, I don't begrudge people if they really do want Spirit to guide them, but it was getting to a point where it was like I wouldn't do anything if I felt Spirit didn't want me to do it sometimes, and I would feel like I wasn't doing things in the right order, which, you know, is just OCD really. I was like, well, if I don't do it the way, using Spirit as an excuse of course, but I was like, if I don't do it the way Spirit wants me to, they won't like me and they won't assist me, and which is completely ridiculous, because if you know anything about Spirit, you know that Spirit is going to help you, right? So I think discovering my own power has been really good for me, and I think with Law of Assumption, if you want to fully lean into it and say that you have the power in your life and you don't want to talk to Spirit, that's fine, but if you want to keep a balance of both like I do, that's fine as well. I don't see any harm in either perspective, you know what I mean? So that's where I've been. There is something I did want to talk about though. I know that the world is a scary place right now, and there's a lot of scary things going on in the world, and a lot of things we should be aware of socially, politically, in some sort of form, because it's so treacherous sometimes and it feels so hopeless. I will say, from my perspective and the work that I've done, I have realized that irregardless of the social conditions, you can still have a good life. Just because of social conditioning, it doesn't mean that you can't shoot for the stars, for the moon, whatever, and manifest your dreams. You know, I think that there's a lot of hidden power that gets kept from us, you know, and obviously not to discount this physical reality, because we live in a physical grounded world, but there is a world outside the physical, and any situation that seems permanent is as temporary as we make it. So if we decide in our reality that we don't want something, we either, you know, we mentally disavow it, and we can go to the new story if we want to in our mind and say that we have something, or we can take physical action. Both are good. Both have value and merit. As I've said, a lot of things have value and merit, but how to explain this verbally? It's like we get told in society that there's only one way, but the society is just a man-made structure. It's a template, right? It's a template of what, you know, the powers that be think that we should be, but it's not all we are. Like, let's just say there's a lot of truth to a lot of different religions. There's a lot of truth to things that people see that can't be possible. Like, for example, like if you see like a spirit, right? If somebody sees a physical apparition, that is from elsewhere, and that is not something we're taught to mentally reconcile, so it can be frightening. Okay, we're not taught how to, you know, come down to that frequency for a lot of us, okay? We've never experienced things beyond the five senses. So the idea of a sixth sense is really startling to us. But it is very, very real, okay? It's the reason why for me personally, I believe that energy is a very, very real thing. And if the energy feels off for anything for me, whether it be a subliminal, the way someone does a certain practice, like I won't subscribe to that or acknowledge it or watch that movie or whatever. You know, I can't one of the earliest things, and obviously I know some spiritual people do watch this movie, so I'm not speaking for everyone, but like I can't watch The Exorcist because I believe the energy is so powerful that acknowledging it visually for me would make me feel that the energy is attached to me, which could be an OCD thing. But I also think that we shouldn't just dismiss different energies that are out there and say, oh, well, you know, I can only... What's the best way to put it? I don't think we should discount any of this stuff, really, because it all holds weight and can help us live in a better way sometimes for some people. Obviously, I would never try to convert anybody, but I think the more that because let's be honest, I think most people believe in alien life. I don't think that's like a dispute. I find it funny because even when people say, oh, I don't believe in ghosts, they'll still be interested in the spirit or paranormal or whatever it is, you know, this other side of life. And I think it's because in our logical mind, we are taught by society we shouldn't follow those things. But there is so much merit in following a different path in life. There is so much merit in discovering a different way to be and thinking outside of the box. One of my common complaints, going back to something I was talking about, and this is very controversial, so prepare yourself, YouTube, for what I'm about to say. But society is as man-made as we make it, right? Like, we don't know fully. Like, if you're spiritual, then you kind of know some essence of it. But we don't know for sure why we're on this earth for. We always chase the meaning of life. And the reason for that is we just accept the structures that are there. And when people think about how to change them or question something in any sort of way, they're shut down. You know, if they question the paradigm of how stuff is, they're shut down. And, you know, I'm not like a conspiracy theorist. Not that there's anything wrong with believing theories, but I think from a very grounded point of view that it's very black and white, that the society is very restrictive on us. And if we were all, you know, taught to live freely and think freely, I think the world would be a much better place. Of course, there's the argument that we need democracy to thrive. Of course, we need some sort of basic structure to survive. And I'm not against bartering money necessarily, but I think a lot of the conversations and limiting rationale around money has gone too far. The fact that we can only have so much money, or we have to work this much for money, or people are in poverty and there's nothing we can do. When if you boil money down to its basic form, and stay with me here because I'll probably lose a lot of people and you won't understand, money is just paper. It's the meaning we assign to the money. So we create the bartering system, but in essence, the bartering system, even though it works in theory, like most things, it keeps us restricted. So it makes us think that only certain people can have certain things and we can't. And I'm not disparaging anybody, and I'm not saying, oh, we'll just get out of poverty. What I'm saying is poverty is a man-made structure. It is man-made by, I'm not going to say specifically, but by the people who create the society at the top of the society. And then it's trickled down to us, but we feel powerless, like we can't acquire, you know, even certain ideas from like the media we consume, right? Like I love media. I watch all different types of media, listen to all different types of music. But even me, I know that it's reinforcing, certain narratives that, keep us stagnant, and we don't question the what could be. We just go, well, it is what it is, and I'm just going to stay, I'm just not going to question anything, and I'll just go through my life. And because I think it scares a lot of people, because I love people, I love the world, but I think it questions. A lot of people don't like to question things because they're scared to think outside of the box, of what the potential could be. So, like, if we make money, like, say we have money, but, like poverty, right? If we boiled it down to a very black and white context, if money is paper, we could create, like, synthetic paper and then print out money on, like, the synthetic paper or whatever it is, and then give that to people that need money, like people who are actually suffering in nations where resources are hoarded, for example. Like, I'm not saying I'm here to change the world, but a lot of people think you're silly if you propose, well, isn't it just paper? Isn't it just a construct? Like, same with, gender, for example. People get so hung up. And yes, I do believe there is divine masculine and feminine energy, but that's for all people of all identities, right? I don't believe it's just like male and female, and I think we get stuck in very rigid binaries. And so when people are like, transgender, non-binary, and they break that binary, it breaks people's minds because we're just so conditioned to think so rigidly about so many things, and I'm probably being quite controversial, but it's the fact that we could change everything tomorrow. Like, the powers that be could change everything tomorrow, but they don't, because they want us to not find the power within themselves, and they want to just reinforce that that's how it is. Okay, that's just how I feel anyway. Like, I'm not somebody who's like, respectfully, I don't have like a tinfoil hat on. I just think that I've always felt like, I don't know if anybody else feels this way, but it was my biggest problem as a sensitive person. Everything had such an easy solution, but the human mind is so, like, fallible in a way, even though it's so powerful and there's a lot of hidden power in the subconscious mind. It's very, very, I don't think delicate is the right word, but it's very attuned to the messages of what should be and not what could be. So I've been, like, unlearning a lot of stuff and trying to follow my own path, trying to find a solution to my inner turmoil and trying to find ways to exist in this paradigm that is increasingly bearing down on people, that is hurting people, that is committing atrocities against people. I mean, I can't go into full detail, otherwise, this could get flagged, but you know what I mean. I think the world would be a better place if we all acknowledged, we all celebrated our differences. And I'm not saying like kumbaya or anything, but I just think that the more that we discover our own power and we discover, like, manifestation, I encourage anybody to go on a manifestation journey and realize that you do have the power within you. It's just that you're taught that you have no power, that it's only the powers that be or only the structure of the society that can make the decisions for you. But I highly encourage you to look at law of assumption, to look at things that are outside of the logical, because they actually have a lot of truth to them. As I said, I'm encouraging, I'm not converting. I think that everybody should live in the way that is right for them. And some people will never discover that. That's okay, that's fine. I just think it like frustrates me that we could live in such a beautiful world if we weren't stuck in these rigid structures, So I think even me as a disabled person, internalizing a lot of messages that, maybe I can't do certain things. But, my power is my mind. My power is my currency, and learning, that it's my label that I put on me that is disadvantaging or advantaging me, So, that's just my little rant, and I just think that we need to start shifting out of these binaries and these structures and finding a different way. I don't have all the answers, but I'm just saying I think it starts with us of changing the mentality, of going against the dominant mentality and finding our own way, so to speak. So, yeah. That's all I have to say, really. I'm just learning a lot, so much every day, and changing my views on a lot of things. I mean, and we're all humans, so we all, we do think in ways that are specific to us, but I just hope this helps somebody. If you feel hopeless right now, or you feel like you're trapped in a certain mindset, you can change it, okay? You can get there. There is so much help. Like, I do still highly encourage mental health work, therapy, regulation, but flipping your thoughts is a great place to start. Yeah, so that's all I have to say, really. I hope this helps somebody. What can I say? What's some housekeeping? I have readings open at the moment, so I'm going to put a link below where you can go check out how to get a personal reading. I do have a new tarot deck. Well, it's like 2 months old. I've had it for 2 months. A new tarot deck, so I might do some videos with that. I'm thinking about doing a meditation. The thing with me in spiritual work is I tend to procrastinate. I do the self-work. I've started doing the self-work. But when it comes to my channel, I don't have that many ideas. So if you guys have any ideas, please let me know in the comments below. I would really appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed this little audio ramble. This might be, I think I said it's a part of the podcast. I'll go back and check what I said. But I hope you guys enjoyed listening to me ramble. And let me know if you agree with any of the things I've said. If you think it's controversial or whatever, that's fine. But I hope this helped somebody and helped open their mind a little bit and, help them feel more reassured in themselves. I might do just more chatty audios like this and post them on my channel. So let me know how you feel about this. And yeah, bye guys. See you next time.